Hi friends, this is Diane from Boho Stamper. Thanks for joining. Today I'm going to have a little demo here on the Boho Indigo Medley Suite. This Medley Suite comes with a great stamp set as well as the dies. The kit also includes some really pretty designer paper. It's two-sided paper. This is the refill kit you can get, especially when you're done using up all of the supplies. You're going to want to get more. It also has several different die cuts, including some tags, labels, gold foiled flowers, some different style of leaves. It also has a couple of sheets of vanilla embossed paper already, so if you don't have an embossing machine, but you want to add a little texture to your cards, this is already set for you. So I've already gone ahead and cut some of my paper. I started out with a Misty Moonlight sheet of cardstock that I cut to 4 1/4 by 11 and then scored at 5 1/2, and then I scored also at 2 3/4 of an inch. I chose a couple of sheets of the designer series paper that's included in the packet, and I cut 2 pieces at 2 1/2 by 4 inches and 1 piece at 2 inches by 3 1/2. I selected a couple of leaves that I wanted to use in my vase, and I also had some vellum left over from the Perennial Essence suite. This is a discontinued item, but I did save some of my vellum because I like to cut leaves out of this with the different dies and use in some of my projects. So after you've decided what vase image you would like to use from the stamp set, I had a piece of very vanilla scrap paper that I stamped that vase on and die cut through my Stampin Cut Emboss machine. We've folded on the first score line, and then on that 2 3/4 inch score line, folded backwards and lined up the different designer paper. You can use either side. You can make them all have the same design on each of the 3 panels, or if you choose to move the center panel to the back side, they're beautifully coordinated, so really there isn't any problem. I'm using some Stampin Seal Plus adhesive to glue the 4 by 5 1/4 sheet of designer paper to the inside back panel of the Misty Moonlight. And I'm using one of the sentiments from the stamp set and Misty Moonlight ink to stamp on one of the gold trimmed labels that's included in this medley. So I just center the sentiment in the middle of this label and then adhere it flat to the inside back panel. I like to use the stamping mat when I'm stamping any of my sentiments, just so that I have a nice clear impression. It works well with a little bit of extra padding underneath your paper. And thank goodness the Stampin' Seal Plus, even though it is a really strong adhesive, if you don't press it down too hard, you have a few minutes to move your images around, because while I was getting these gold flowers out, it occurred to me that I really had wanted to put a base of Misty Moonlight in the center of my back panel. I adhered the center panel using the same design as is on my back layer. Just used some of the Stampin' Seal Plus and centered it in the middle. And then again on the front panel, these are the 2.5 inch by 4 inch pieces. Now when we fold this card, we can use the small piece of Misty Moonlight that's cut at 3 by 4. Oh, I'm sorry, it's cut at 2 by 3.5. So this one is just wide enough. And you may need to adjust this depending on what label you decide to use on the inside of your back panel. So here's where I decided that I was a little premature in gluing my message down on the inside. So I was able to lift it off, added my Misty Moonlight panel, and then retaped my label and centered it on the Misty Moonlight. It just stands out a little bit better than having it glued directly to the pattern paper. And these gold foil flowers just I thought were going to be really cute on the inside. I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to put them, but they just seem to be hanging around everywhere, so I figured we'd use them somewhere along the lines. So now we can add that Misty Moonlight panel excuse me, to the front of the card. We only want to tape the half that's going to be layered on the front panel and position this just so that it will cover our message on the inside. That's why if you select one of the labels or tags included in the kit that's a little larger, you might want to cut your front Misty Moonlight or whatever color you're using on your card just a little bit bigger. So I burnished the folds a little bit more here just so the card would lay down flatter. And then this was the vase that I had chosen from the kit and stamped in Misty Moonlight and die cut. Picked out several of the leaves that are already pre-printed and cut for you in this Medley suite. Arranged them how I thought they looked pretty on the front of the card. I wanted a tall leaf there in the center. And then just put a little bit of my Stampin' Seal Plus at the top of my vase so that I could get the leaves to stick on there. They were being a little bit feisty when I was gluing them. So even though I had planned where I wanted these to stick, they had a mind of their own. And I'm just snipping off with my paper snips one of the little vellum branches that was just a little bit too long and hanging out the side of the vase there. And this is where they were just starting to kind of fall a little bit and not stay where I had placed them, even with the bit of glue. I didn't want to put a whole lot of glue on the back because some of these leaves are not really going to be adhered to the cardstock on the background. They're going to kind of hang over the front flap, which is what I was kind of trying to do. So I'm trying again to get the leaves positioned where I want them to stay. And once I get them adhered on here, I used a little bit of tear tape to lay across the back of those little limbs or stems, hoping to make the leaves stay where I put them this time. This will help too when we do go to put the vase down on the front of the card. It'll give it a little bit more support for these stems to adhere to the blue panel that we have on the front of the card. I want the vase to pop up a little bit on the front, so I'm going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals. Again, I want to be aware of where I'm placing these because some of that base is going to be seen from the other side of the card. So we don't really want the dimensionals to have a sticky side showing when a recipient opens the card up. So I kept the dimensionals towards the left-hand side of the vase. And I have that tear tape along the back edge, which worked out okay because the blue panel is right behind that. Then I just took a couple of the mini dimensionals and stuck behind some of the leaves to give them a little bit more interest and stand up on the front of the card as well. Some of the vellum leaves were sort of bending forward and not securely adhered to the card, so I just picked a couple of glue dots and put those on the back of the vellum leaves, trying to be a little bit discreet where I put those, so when the vellum is laid down you can't really see the glue behind them. Now we can add the gold foil flowers to the inside of the card. I'm going to position the flowers on the inside back panel so that when the card is folded closed, you're not able to see them sticking out behind the blue panel. So again, just using some of the Stampin' Seal Plus, I was able to adhere these flat to the back panel of the card. And included in the kit are some very small white daisies with a small bead center. And at first, this is what I had planned on adding to the front of the card. But because I had used the gold foil flowers on the inside, I decided I would just use those on the outside as well, rather than introducing another type of flower. So I just used some of the mini dimensionals and glued those gold foil flowers to the front. And I did struggle to find a third flower and ended up opening my refill kit to get another flower out of here. That's okay. Some of my paper from the original kit is just about all gone anyway, so opening the refill was inevitable. I do like this Boho Indigo kit. It kind of goes with my whole stamping theme. And there's some beautiful medallion stamp sets, and those are coming up next here too. I've done one video already using one of the stamp sets and have some ideas for another one, so we'll get that going here. So back to the card, we just put on a couple of these flowers, tucking them inside the leaves. Still trying to find one of those small gold flowers, but I think I just have used them all. I had another one of these that I just sent in the mail yesterday, and that one I had used the little white daisy type flowers that come in the kit. I guess I must have used the gold ones on a different card. So there really are a lot of elements that come in this medley, between all of the labels that are in there that you can use to stamp on, and the different images, and there's so many different leaf designs. It's really a very good value pack. This leaf is going to be half on that tall, the flower is going to be half on that tall leaf. So I need to add a dimensional on one side of the flower and then a little bit of the Stampin Seal Plus so that I can adhere it to both the leaf and the solid card panel behind it, making sure that I have a firm, there it is, a firm seal with that. I also had some little silver and gold, um, just little bead dots, just to add a little bit of embellishment to the front of the card. And I don't think these small bead ones are available anymore, but I know that there are gold glitter enamel dots. Those would look just as pretty on here as well, but I have a lot of these to use up, so we're going to put them on cards until they're gone. And I know on the card that I already had mailed out, I wanted to write a little note. So I just took a piece of Very Vanilla, and I just used a scrap and cut it down so that it would fit on that inside panel. And that left me just enough room to write a little note to my friend when they get these cards in the mail. Doesn't have to be a lot, but just to let them know I'm thinking of them. And hopefully it's going to put a smile on somebody's face. So if that happens, it's a good day. These are a couple of the other cards that I made with this Boho Indigo kit as well. This one has a little bit, I don't know if you can see the embossed paper. That's the paper that came in the kit already embossed. And then I had added a couple of those little white flowers on the front of that one. And this one also just has some leaves and a vase on the front on another piece of the embossed Very Vanilla. I still have to add my inside panel to that yet and write my note. I added a couple of the little vellum leaves on this card as well. So if you would really like to make some of these gorgeous cards and have minimal supplies, this is a great way to get started. Thanks for joining. Hope you enjoyed the card, and I hope this inspires you to make a card and send a smile. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks.